Hey everyone, what's up? Alright, so it's been about 3 weeks since Sonic X Shadow Generations came out. And how are you feeling about the game? The game is awesome, man. It is a masterpiece, just like I said in my review, an inconsistent masterpiece. I'm still having fun with the game. I'm still playing it. I'm still trying to 100% Shadow Generations. I've just been busy, with life. But yeah, this game has sold a lot. It's still a masterpiece, and it's sold 1.77 million units so far. I think it's going to reach 2 million anytime soon. It's definitely going to reach 2 million this month. So that's fast. Like, it hasn't even been a month yet. So many people have been live streaming this game over the past couple weeks. People I never thought would ever cover a Sonic game. Mario, watch out, because at first I was interested in getting Mario and Luigi Brothership, but after looking at the reviews, I don't know. It's funny though, Mario and Luigi Brothership currently has a 79 on Metacritic, whilst Sonic X Shadow Generations has an 80 on Metacritic. And if we look at the other scores on other platforms, it has an 82 on Nintendo Switch and a 76 on Xbox Series X. But who cares about Xbox? Just Nintendo's an 82, PS5 is an 80, so the highest it has is an 82. That's 3 points above Mario and Luigi. So for the first time in a very, very long time, a Sonic game has a higher score than a Mario game. Yes, I know Mario Luigi's a spin-off RPG, but it's still hilarious. A lot of people have been memeing it, making fun of it, that, oh, the tables have turned, Sonic is finally above Mario. Sonic fans are getting cocky now, a bit too cocky. Let's not get too cocky, because we all know the Switch 2 is coming out next year, and the new 3D open world Mario game is coming out next year. Now that game is definitely going to make the 90s. If that game somehow makes below a 90 in the 80s, that's kind of considered a failure when we talk about 3D Mario games, But we'll see. It just feels so good to be a Sonic fan right now. Sonic games are doing hella good, and I'm here for it. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. So let's get into all that. But before we do, be sure to smash that like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, first I want to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog, The Wrath of Not-So Full Power, Part 1. As you guys know, I posted the trailer on my channel in late October. Now, unfortunately, COPPA striked that, so it has a kid-friendly rating, which means you can't comment on it and shit like that. So just going to have to avoid that, because so far the trailer for Wrath of Not-So and the trailer for Sonic Rebound Episode 7, Silent Sniper, they both got marked with kid-friendly. COPPA just has it against Sonic animations. They feel anything with Sonic in it that's animated is for kids, which is totally false. I mean, look at Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings. That was all marked for kids, and that is not kid-friendly. So it's like the only way to avoid these things is to have like mature content in it or cussing, Episode 6 didn't have the kid-friendly rating. I mean, it almost did, but I repealed it, because of the Rouge fan service and shadow cussing. So just going to have to do that kind of stuff for future, episodes. But yeah, can't wait for both of these to come out. Sonic Rebound Episode 7, I know a lot of y'all have waited so patiently for that, but we are getting close to being done with that soon. I'm hoping that will come out this year, because I am going to travel. I'm traveling out of the country December 15th. So hopefully things will be done before then. But if not, I'll let you guys know. If it doesn't come out between this year, then it will have to come out in January. I apologize for that, but you guys will not regret it. This episode is jam-packed, action-packed, and quality over quantity. And look on the bright side, I'm coming out with both Rebound and Not So. Now, let's get back to Sonic X Shadow Generations. Now, I made a community post a while ago about playing it on the Switch. I've noticed, there's something wrong with the Switch controls. For some reason, Shadow Generations is way more sensitive to my control stick on the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons on Switch. And I have no clue why. So I asked if anyone has ever experienced this, and I wasn't alone. A lot of people said they've experienced this too. This is definitely a Switch exclusive problem, because when I played this on PC on a gamepad, and it wasn't even an Xbox or Steam controller. It was third party. No, actually it was Xbox. And I had no issue with that. The joystick, everything was very smooth, and it wasn't slippery, or it wasn't extra sensitive. So that is a problem that I've noticed with the Joy-Cons a lot lately. And I don't know why they didn't fix that. Now there is one person who said he likes the controls on the Switch for, Sonic X Shadow Generations, and he likes how sensitive it is. I don't understand how someone would like that. It's a bit of a nuisance, but I'm pretty sure you don't get that when you play on the Pro Controller. But I sold my Pro Controller, so I'll try to see how it feels like on the Pro Controller. Other than that, Shadow Generations controls great. And now let me talk about some of my opinions. Now, obviously, I reviewed the game the week it came out, and opinions will always change. I remember I said my favorite level there is like Kingdom Valley, and my least favorite is Chaos Island. Now that I look back on it in hindsight, Kingdom Valley is still my favorite level, but Chaos Island has really grown on me. Before I put Chaos Island in the bottom, no more. I think Chaos Island has to be my second or third favorite level. Do not sleep on Space Colony Arc. I really love that first level, but besides that, yeah, Chaos Island is definitely a top 2, top 3 level for me now. It's actually Sunset Heights that is my least favorite level now. I have to say, when it comes to 2D stages, and there's only 5 2D stages in the game, my favorite 2D stage is definitely Kingdom Valley. My least favorite 2D stage definitely has to be Chaos Island, and it's very short too. You can beat in like less than 2.5 minutes. But yeah, when it comes to my favorite 3D stage, Radical Highway, that is a great ass stage. It's very challenging too, and you can't use chaos control. Yeah, I love that level. That's also a top 3 level. There's just so many goated levels in this game. I love Radical Highway Act 1 and Act 2. I think Act 2 is better than Act 1. I'm gonna have to think about it, but yeah, I love the challenge, and it's not challenging in a bad way. It's challenging in a great way. But yeah, definitely I have to say my least favorite 3D level has to be Sunset Heights, because it's as linear as the original. I mean, yes, it's more interesting, but there's not much to it, except the underground part is the best part of the stage. And I do love how you have to react to your environment to access the alternate routes, like when the Death Egg Sentinel robots throw the boulders at you. You have to use chaos control, freeze time, and homing attack on them to land on an alternate pathway. I think that is very, very ingenious, very brilliant. But I mean, all the levels are great. There's not really a bad level, but when you compare that to all the other great levels, like even Rail Canyon, it just pales in comparison. So I might have to make a tier list of it, but those are my favorite levels. But Radical Highway is definitely a top 3. Like top 3 3D levels, definitely Kingdom Valley, Space Colony Arc, Radical Highway, and Chaos Island. I mean, I know that's 4, but I don't know. I just can't choose right now. And yeah, Radical Highway was hard to S rank without the Doom Wings. And yeah, I loved it. I finally S ranked all of them. Now, there's one thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know if I mentioned this in my review, but how are we feeling about the multiple appearances of Radical Highway in the game? It's funny because someone was like, Radical Highway is the new Green Hill of this game, because we've seen it a lot of times, especially if you want to count Sonic Generations 3DS. But yeah, I understand Black Doom is in, like, that's his dimension and he controls it, but like, couldn't he control levels that he was actually from, like from Shadow the Hedgehog or Shadow 05? Why does it have to be Radical Highway? He wasn't even in Sonic Adventure 2. But yeah, I think, like, for instance, you get Radical Highway interruptions, the transition levels in Space Colony Arc, Rail Canyon, and Sunset Heights. Why not have those be different levels from Shadow the Hedgehog, whilst saving Radical Highway for the last level? I think that would have been good. Now, I don't mind Radical Highway being in the very beginning in Space Colony Arc. I like it. I just like the aesthetic of that. But like in Rail Canyon, instead of having Radical Highway, you could have like maybe Westopolis or something like that, or Digital Circuit. That would have been nice. Digital Circuit. I think that would have really worked for the theme of Rail Canyon. And then Sunset Heights, I think what would have really worked there is that Glyph Canyon. What's the name of that one stage in Shadow the Hedgehog? Yeah, Glyphic Canyon. We should have had Glyphic Canyon instead of Radical Highway again. I don't know, because I don't think Sega is going to do a DLC of Shadow Generations featuring Shadow the Hedgehog levels. So we could have had our cake and eat it too. We could have had Glyphic Canyon, Digital Circuit, Westopolis as the transition levels in Shadow Generations. But it is what it is. It's not too bad. It's just nitpicky, but yeah. I feel like they could have actually used some Shadow the Hedgehog levels, since I mean it's heavily based on that game too. I mean, we have the Black Arms, Black Doom. So yeah, it was just a very, very glaring omission. And like for speed running the game, Sonic Team can try patching the game or something. So like if you want to speed run it, you can skip those whole Radical Highway transitions and just speed run just Rail Canyon, or just speed run Sunset Heights or Space Colony Arc without the transitions, because those are more like cinematic set pieces, which are great. But like for speed running, I'm like, it definitely adds more time to your speed runs. But those are just nitpicks for speed running purposes. It's still, this is a great game. The fact that I even have to find things to complain about or criticize about means how great this game is. I can't wait for the DLC, the Sonic Movie 3 DLC. Now, if there is one glaring issue I do have with Shadow Generations, is navigating all the boxes in the open world or open zone. It's a bit cumbersome because you have no idea where to locate them like in Frontiers. In Frontiers, you know every single token to get. It's littered all over the map, all over the island. But the only time you see a box in Shadow Generations Hub World is after you have opened it. So you spend most of the time just scouring everywhere. And it's not that bad because, like I said, it's not as huge as like the islands, the Starfall Islands and Frontiers. But it does get, a bit tiring and annoying. So I've actually been watching a walkthrough video on YouTube on how to locate all the boxes, because I'm like at 90% completion, and there's just a couple more boxes I need to get. So that's annoying. And don't even get me started about the gear pieces for Orbot and Cubot's spaceship. A lot of people said that don't even bother collecting those because the reward is just not it, it's not worth it. So yeah, but when it comes to open zone, Shadow Gens does control better. It controls better than Sonic Frontier. So first, the next open world game, whether it's Sonic Frontiers 2 or whatever, I want it to control as good and smooth as Shadow Generations, but I want the map to be easy to navigate like Frontiers. What I mean is, like, you can find things without searching blindly. So if they just incorporate that, we're going to have a perfect open zone or open world Sonic game. And remember Premier de Remy's live stream of Shadow Generations when he made a list about Shadow Gens versus Sonic Gens? I agree with him a bit on all of that. I'm pretty much split down the middle. When it comes to the best 3D gameplay, I would give that to Sonic Generations still. Mainly because, like, Seaside Hill, modern Seaside Hill is still unbeatable. And just Sonic Generations has more levels. And when it comes to 2D, I would give that to Shadow Generations because, like, it has some some great 2D stages. Nothing against classic Sonic stage. Those were fun, but they got nothing on Sonic Mania. Then if you want to talk about the hub world, I mean, he gave it to both Sonic and Shadow because, like I said, I love the open zone in Shadow, but it has its flaws. And I also like the hub world in Sonic Generations. It's nice and simple in 2D. Then when he talks about challenges, I don't know, I would have to give the challenges to Shadow. I do love the variety in Sonic Generations, and I love the challenges with your friends. But like with Shadow, because there are less challenges, altogether there's like 30 challenges, so they're more focused. And a lot of them are fun, and you have to collect a lot of things, so the replay value is high. It's not just beating your time. Music obviously will go to Sonic Generations. I do not dislike Shadow Generations soundtrack as much as Premi does, but yeah, there's a lot of hit and miss there. Story, obviously. Story and presentation go to Shadow Generations. More of the W's go to Shadow Generations, but like I said, at the end of the day, gameplay trumps everything, and Sonic Generations, the 3D gameplay, which is the highlight, the main thing of the game, jumps over Shadow Generation. But like I said, it's like a Sonic 3 and Knuckles versus Sonic Mania. I really don't care which game you prefer. They are both great games. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the Holy Grail. Sonic Mania is the son of the Holy Grail. Same thing, Sonic Generations, Shadow Generations, both great, goated masterpieces. Whichever game you prefer, it doesn't matter. They're both great. And like I said, as for DLC, I would love to see more DLC for Sonic X Shadow Generations. Like, put the 3DS stages from Sonic Generations 3DS into Sonic Generations, and I want to see more levels in Shadow Generations as well. Especially, like, how cool would that be to have a DLC like Final Horizons, where Sonic and Shadow will have to work together? Because, I mean, they don't really work together at all in this game. Shadow only meets Sonic once in his game. So I would like a final story or final chapter. They don't have to do that, but I would love that. Now, I've seen a lot of people say this because we all know Silver the Hedgehog is going to be inevitable when he comes. Can a Silver Generations work? Yes and no. Now, Silver Generations would not work as its own game because that game would be so short. It would be shorter than Sonic Forces. I mean, think about it. Silver has only been in 2 main games. Besides Sonic Generations, Silver has been in 2 main series games, Sonic 06 and Sonic Forces. So, like, if I had to make a Silver Generations game, it would just be DLC, like an extra story mode because it's short. So you would have 3 levels. One from Sonic 06, Sonic Forces, and Sonic Colors. Now I know you guys are like, wait, what? Sonic Colors? If you remember, Sonic Colors DS, Silver was in that game. So he was with Blaze. They were checking out Eggman's Interstellar Amusement Park. So for Sonic 06, since the best levels have already been in the X-Gens game, we've had Crisis City and Kingdom Valley, I think I would put Dusty Desert for Silver. I don't know. I think Dusty Desert would be good. And everybody knows that infamous ball puzzle. So why not do something like that and polish that part up? I don't know. It's just Dusty Desert. Anytime I think of that stage, I think of Silver. So that would be a nice stage for Silver. And then Sonic Forces, let's see. I think we can have Metropolis. Because, I mean, it just looks like a futuristic level and it's white. So Silver would really go well with that level. So yeah, Metropolis for Silver. And then we're looking at Sonic Colors. I don't know, Asteroid Coaster, because we've already had Tropical Resort in the 3DS version. We've had Planet Wisp in the HD version, so why not have Asteroid Coaster for Silver? I think that would be great. So those are the 3 levels. Dusty Desert from Sonic 06, Asteroid Coaster, Sonic Colors, and Metropolis in Sonic Forces. Now, there would only be 1 boss. Sonic Generations, he has like 7 bosses, you know. He had 3 rival bosses, 3 main bosses, and Time Eater, the final boss. Shadow Generations, he had 4 bosses, which is 3 main bosses and a final boss. So it would only make sense for Silver to have like 1 boss, and that would obviously be Iblis. So yeah, that would be it. Just 3 stages, you know, challenges within those stages, maybe like 2 challenges. If you're going to do 2 acts, then maybe 2 challenges per act, like Shadow Generations and then the final boss, or the only boss, which would be Iblis. I don't think Sonic Team will do that because to me that just seems like a waste of time for a little DLC. What I do think they're going to do though is remake Sonic 06, because according to Tails channel, Sonic Team producer wants to remake 06. Says Nakamura, when asked if Sonic Team will remake or remaster past games like 2006 and hits like Heroes, Adventure 1 and 2, or even considers a Sonic Adventure 3, he says that old and new games remain appealing. He has previously said he personally wishes for the opportunity to remake 06. Yeah, we are definitely getting a remake of Sonic 06. I didn't think it would be possible, but yo guys, Shadow's first game was just bashed on and was just critically panned. To have a critically acclaimed game, I mean, that went from like garbage to greatness, 0 to hero. If Sega can do that for Shadow, they can definitely do that for Sonic 06. And get this, because we all know Silver is going to be in the Sonic movies real soon, it's either going to be Sonic Movie 4 or Sonic Movie 5. Yeah, we are definitely going to get a Silver focused game. Now, my assumption is that Sega is going to remake Sonic 06 and revolve that game, center that game around Silver to promote the next Sonic movie that Silver is going to be in. Now, I know some of you are like, how? Look, Sega's not going to waste their time rebooting Silver and making a brand new Silver game. Silver is the most non-fleshed out character of the Hedgehogs. You know, Sonic and Shadow have way more history with them than Silver. Instead of wasting time and resources making a brand new game with Silver, why not go back, remake Sonic 06, fix everything in there and center it around Silver? You can expand on Silver's story. And I always saw Sonic 06 as a Silver game, you know, Silver's game. He was the star of that, and his story with Shadow's story completely overshadows Sonic's story. So that would be great to do like Sonic X Shadow Generations before the next Sonic movie with Silver in it. I have faith they're going to do this, and you know, anytime Sega expressed interest in remaking something, it ends up getting remade. Remember 2021, Izuka was interested in making a Shadow game, a Shadow sequel, and we were like, they're never going to do that. Lo and behold, 3 years later, make Shadow Generations. They're going to do that. Even Sonic Generations, they express interest in that. They remake Sonic Generations 2, or they remaster it. So yeah, I really feel like we're going to get that remake Sonic 06. And that's going to be great, you know, because I mean, if fans could make Sonic P06 and that's actually a really, really good fixed version of Sonic 06. I want to see what Sega can do with 06. You know, that game is 18 years old. It's going to be over 20 years old by the time the inevitable remaster or remake. They have to remake. They can't remaster that shit. But it will be over 20 years when that remake comes out. So, you know, let bygones be bygones. It doesn't matter how critically panned the game was. That's in the past. Sega can turn it around. I would much rather see a remake of Sonic 06 than a Silver Generations. Now, another thing I want to talk about. I heard from an insider that there have been whispers around Sega that Sega could be done with classic Sonic. Now, I know some of you are like, Nani? What? But think about it, guys. Classic Sonic is just not profitable. With the exception of Sonic Generations, I mean, even with Sonic X Shadow Generations, was Classic Sonic even in the marketing much? He was very much the third wheel. And like I said, since Forces, Classic Sonic has always felt like the third wheel. It's even been more evident in this game. Obviously, the highlight was Shadow and Sonic. So yeah, Classic Sonic is just not profitable. Let's look back at the history. Sonic Superstars came out last year, right? The sales were so mid, Sega hasn't even reported the sales yet. They were very upset with it. They said they were disappointed by the sales. And all of us were like, well, no shit. You put it out during the same week of Spider-Man 2 and Mario Wonder. And Superstars was the lesser game of the three. Why would anybody waste their money on Superstars? And it cost $60. Mind you, Sonic X Shadow Generation Standard Edition is just $50. Superstars was $60. To buy the Deluxe Edition is $70. Whereas the Deluxe Edition of X Gens is $60. And it's worth way more than Superstars. So yeah, Sega shot themselves in the foot with that. Superstars just didn't sell well. And then even Sonic Mania, which we all know was a much better game than Sonic Forces. Mania just sold 1 million sales. It took years for it to hit 1 million, and it didn't sell more than Forces. Now I know that's an asterisk there because like I think it was shortly after Sonic Movie 1 came out in 2020, Sega had like a PS Plus special where you could, if you were a member or something, you could download Sonic Forces for free so long as you were subscribed. So a lot of people downloaded Sonic Forces because they didn't want to pay for that game individually. And yeah, so that helped the sales of the game. But no matter how you slice it, more people got and played Sonic Forces than Sonic Mania. So I mean, that was kind of embarrassing because Mania is the much better game. Now even look at Sonic Origins. Now Origins doesn't really count because the sales wasn't reported, and as far as I'm concerned, it's just a bunch of remasters put into the game. So over time, it'll sell well. Sega is not really concerned about the sales of that game because they delisted all the other ports of the classic Sonic games. So if you want to play the classic Sonic games, you have to get Sonic Origins if you want to play it officially. Otherwise, you just play it on emulators. But yeah, we've technically had classic Sonic every year since 2022. And modern Sonic is still doing much better critically and financially now. I mean, even when we look back at Sonic X Shadow Generations, people do not care about classic Sonic anymore like that. You know, even the casuals and noobs, like I was watching Dashy Games. He's never played Sonic Generations when it originally came out. So when he had to choose between Sonic Gens and Shadow Gens, he chose Shadow Gens instead because he said Shadow looks cooler than both of those Sonics. And here's the thing, a lot of people, even Dashy, thought classic Sonic was Sonic's son, or you know, Sonic's little brother or something like that. Even my sister, who's grown up with Sonic with me, thought that that was Sonic's son. You know, it's only hardcore fans that know that that's classic, that's how Sonic looked like back then. And yes, they made him a bit more cuter because back then the whole point was to make Sonic look cooler than Mario, but classic Sonic just has not resonated with them. You know, they all are used to modern Sonic or Green Eye Sonic because truth be told, that Sonic has been around far much longer than classic Sonic. So that's what I've been observing. I think unless Christian Whitehead wants to come back and continue doing something great with classic Sonic, like a Sonic Mania sequel or just another Sonic game, then Sega should retire classic Sonic and just stick with modern Sonic. Now look, I'm not saying no more 2D games. Shadow Generations definitely showed that 2D is still great. You know, that's why I'm so glad that I forgot who said, was it Nakamura or someone Sonic team said that they will continue having 2D Sonic games. But instead of having 2D and 3D, why not just make modern 2D Sonic games like Sonic Rush or Sonic Advance? I'm looking forward to the day they remaster the Sonic Advance games and they sell well, because I want to see more 2D games with modern Sonic games. Because the thing with classic Sonic games is the games just hold him back. Superstars, despite the Chaos Powers, which was quite creative, overall it still felt like Sonic was being held back. It really felt like he was being held back. And I don't like that, you know, with modern Sonic. Like, look, the reason why a lot of people love the 2D stages of Shadow Generations, because it didn't hinder him. He could still use all of his powers, all of his moves, all of his chaos abilities in 2D as well. You know, it didn't all of a sudden start playing like classic Sonic games or whatever, and all he can do is just jump on enemies or have a fire shield, bubble shield. Like, no, it didn't do that. And that's what Sega's been doing for the longest time. It's like, anytime things are in 2D, just make it like classic Sonic. And that's annoying. The reason why Sonic Mania resonated so much, the reason why that game worked, is because it felt like a spiritual successor to Sonic 3 Knuckles, which Sega has largely ignored throughout the whole nostalgia pandering era. Maybe it's because of the Michael Jackson rights or whatever, but they kept rehashing from Sonic 1 and 2, favoring those games instead. So yeah, like I said before, classic Sonic has not resonated with the general audience as much as Sega has hoped it would. Sonic was always meant to be relevant and cool in the time period it was in. That's why Greg Martin's Sonic in the, USA cover arts worked so well in America, but it wouldn't work now. Classic Sonic worked then, but it doesn't work now. That's why they updated Sonic in the adventure games. And even then, the adventure designs for Sonic isn't used anymore. Now on to a little bit of Sonic Movie 3 news. Now I heard from Daniel RPK, who's a quite reliable leaker sometimes when it comes to movie news. Now he said that obviously the Shadow spin-off is coming after Sonic Movie 3. We all knew that. But Paramount said if Sonic Movie 3 is successful, meaning if it makes more money than Sonic Movie 2, Shadow spin-off will not be a show anymore, it'll be a movie. And that's what I want, because if having a Shadow show means it has to be like the Knuckles show, then I don't want it. I would rather have a Shadow the Hedgehog movie, especially if it's going to be based on the Shadow the Hedgehog video game with the black arms and all that. I would love to see that. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Would you like to see Shadow spin-off as a show or as a movie? But yeah, that's all I have for now. So let me know what you think about everything I said about, classic Sonic versus modern Sonic, and Sega possibly abandoning classic Sonic. And I can't wait for the second trailer of Sonic Movie 3 coming out later this month. So I definitely want to see more for that. I hope they don't spoil everything though. But yeah guys, that's all I have for now. So take care. And until next time, I'm out.